The RSA makes a big deal out of the fact that it was founded in Rothmel's coffee shop in 1754. This simple idea that there have always been places where people gathered, and because water was so dangerous, you get sick from drinking water, so the safest thing to drink in England, as in America, was alcoholic beverages. They would drink ale and other alcoholic beverages, and that leads to a certain kind of social life, a certain kind of intellectual life, you might say. And the simple change, the discovery of coffee, the importation of it, changed the nature of social interaction. Obviously, if you go from a depressant to a stimulant, you get more interesting conversations. We're at a similar turning point now. We are several years into a transition that may be much bigger. And that is, of course, the transition from intellectual life based on face-to-face interactions, publishing in journals, in meeting in physical buildings, to a virtual world in which a lot happens online at a very, very different time scale. It's a very interesting time to be thinking about intellectual life and what a 21st century Enlightenment would look like. That's the big question people are asking here at the RSA. And so when I was invited, I was told in November, the RSA will be celebrating the next phase in our history of opening a 21st century Enlightenment coffee house. Now, here's the line, though, that concerned me. We want to create opportunities for people from every background and discipline to join together, to exchange ideas and experiences, to debate the big challenges facing us as a society, undergoing rapid change amid a turbulent politics, and to work together toward a more enlightened future. And what I recognize in this invitation text is this way of looking at the world. This is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. John Lennon's Imagine is a world in which if we could just get rid of the things that divide us, all of us just living life in peace together, wouldn't that be great? And this is a vision that tends to resonate on the left in particular. There is a very noble sentiment, there is a truth to it, but I think as it plays out, it tends not to work for reasons that seem unexpected, but actually are quite expectable, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. I'm going to offer you a metaphor of society, and here it is. The Titanic was built to be unsinkable. They built it with these watertight compartments, even if actually 4 were to be punctured and to fill with water. There are boundaries, there are barriers. It won't flood, the ship won't sink. So we can go really fast through the icebergs. It's unsinkable. As you know, the iceberg created a gash across several of the compartments. Several compartments were flooded immediately by the iceberg. In other words, had the compartments been truly watertight, it probably would not have sunk. So here's a guy, a YouTuber named Rojalisten. In his bathtub, he took a plastic model of the Titanic. He created 16 compartments. He put coins in each of the compartments as weight. As you can see, he put a kind of a gash roughly where the gash was in the hull of the Titanic. So you see the water. As it spills over one compartment, the front goes down further. And then that increases the speed at which water goes to the next compartment, which increases the speed, et cetera. And at first, the dipping is slow, but in the end, it's very fast. So that's my metaphor for you. All right? Let's apply the metaphor. So Facebook's mission in 2004, their mission statement was to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. In 2017, when they discovered that simply connecting the world can change major American elections, they updated their mission. Now they say to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. The company itself has engaged in some very bad practices, but the people, I believe, are generally good people, ethical people. This was a simple image back in 2010 by a Facebook intern plotting out how Facebook is connecting the world. And of course, it's vastly more connected now than it was in 2010. These are just some images of networks. What kind of society is a better society? One in which there are people who are disconnected entirely, or one in which everyone's connected indirectly, or one in which everyone's directly connected? And you might think, well, the more connections, the better. But there are a few problems with that. That if 99% of people are really good, and you connect everybody, you still can get all kinds of terrible things happening. The alt-right pioneered or developed ways of using the internet to provoke people for fun. It's humorous, but it produces, it expresses nasty sentiments. The internet can be used to harass people. This is what I'm most alarmed about. It's not arguments that take place. It's actual threats, intimidation, death threats, rape threats, horrible racist rants. So you're unleashing all kinds of nastiness when you connect everybody, especially if there's anonymity. Obviously, manipulators, Cambridge Analytica, may have influenced elections using Facebook data. A very important study done in science by a group at MIT, Deb Roy's lab, found that when they looked at how information spread on Twitter, what they found is that false information, especially if it's emotionally evocative, spreads faster than true. And yes, Russian bots forwarded this sort of stuff, but if you take all the Russian bots out, it doesn't actually make a difference. Because essentially, in America, we hate each other so much that we're all Russian bots happily forwarding nasty fake stuff about the other side. The net effect, according to some people, including some of the founders of Facebook and other social media companies, is that social media is ripping apart society. That certainly is the way it feels. And so we're beginning to ask questions in the last 2 years, such as, can liberal democracy even survive social media? The existence of governments and social democracies as we know them is not as sure a thing as it was just 4 years ago. When you connect people in this way, expect unexpected problems. Networks are complicated, important things, but if you knock down all the walls, or if the walls fail, if you connect everybody in this way, you're going to have some unexpected problems. Secondly, a 21st century Enlightenment, like anything else about social engineering, is very, very hard to predict. It really could go in ways different than you expect.